Okay, GM everyone, and big welcome to Avenue here. We're going to have a chat about the Kumaleon NFT project. Bit of an AMA, bit of a conversation between us. I really love this project. I love your strap line. You can be anything you want to be. The project itself, I heard about because I was on a on-chain monkey space with Brian Brinkman, and he was talking about various projects, including the monkeys. And I asked him about art projects. Was there any alpha he could share? And he actually mentioned Kumaleon, and I know he's a big supporter. So I started having a look and luckily got on the whitelist. So I managed to get one, and I've snagged a couple more since. And I just wanted to talk to you really about this project and what you're doing and what it means and some of the innovations that you're bringing to the space. So Avenue, do you want to just introduce yourself and sort of say what you're up to before Kumaleon and how Kumaleon came about, maybe?
Oh yeah, sure thing. So thanks so much for having me on. It's an honor and a privilege to be here with you and your audience. So my name is Avenue. I'm one of the founders of the project. I'm responsible for the strategy, marketing, planning, and community management, and a lot of the English communication stuff, because our team is it's a fully Japanese team, and they're all Japanese guys who grew up in Japan. So English sometimes it's a tough assignment for them. So handle all that stuff. I've been in NFTs for 15 months now. I got in last year in the summer. Should have gotten in earlier, actually. I was aware of it in January, February, but I was a bit hesitant about jumping right in. But in the summer I did. I'm glad I did. Really changed my life. And I work full-time on this project. And prior to this, I'm also part of the Generative Masks team, which is an OG Gen Art project based on ETH that minted last year in August. So we just had our 1-year anniversary a couple of months ago. And yeah, so that's a little blurb about me. And I'm currently working on this full-time, like I said. And I can't wait to see where this goes. So let's rock and roll.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I mean, there's so many good things about it, but I have to say that website is fire. You know, it just shows so much effort, and it's one of those check boxes. Just, you said you got in about 18 months ago. What was your first project you got involved in or bought?
The first mint or the first project that I took up?
The first mint. How did you find it? Where did you get going?
Yeah, so I actually started my very first mint was on Solana, and I'm still heavily tied to the Solana space. I'm in ETH as well, and a bit of Clayton. And I mean, the reason I found it is because I was, as everyone knows, Solana had a big breakout moment last year in the summer, and I was fairly lucky enough to get in before the giant breakout. So that was sort of independent of NFTs. So I knew that there were NFTs on Solana at that point, and it was a nascent scene, but I didn't think of crossing my crypto holdings with the NFT space. So that's sort of how I got my toes in the business. Bought a lot of stuff at the Pickle Top in late October, which in hindsight was not a good choice, but it is what it is. And I feel like throughout my journey I've pretty much seen it all. I've hit the 50x's, and I've lost it all. I've been rugged, hard rugged, soft rugged, and
yeah. It's an environment that I think you've just got to experience it a bit. I think in a way I wish I'd spent 6 more months studying it before I ever bought anything, I would be in a much better position. But equally, having been through the highs and the lows, I feel I have a deeper connection in the Web3 space now, having felt all the pain. Not so much joy, but lots of pain along the way.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I like to sort of like liken it to, you know, like a former sports player that goes on to become a coach or an assistant, right? But unlike soccer or basketball or, you know, any other sport, there's no like theory in NFTs. It's such a new space. No one is like an authoritative expert here. We're all learning. So I really feel like, you know, getting some skin in the game is absolutely crucial to understanding it all, because you really don't quite intuitively get it until you've been through it all yourself. So that's how I see it.
And I think you're so right. The only people I don't trust in Web3 immediately are those that tell me they are experts and know what's going on, because
exactly.
I mean, we are at such an early stage of the evolution of it. There's everyone, you know, everyone is delivering. I mean, we're talking about a project here today that's delivering something quite amazingly new and innovative in the space. So let's have a look. I'm quite eager to reveal one of mine. So I just pulled this thread off your Twitter, which was a kind of pre-mint, and I think it was like the thread that pulled together some of the background of Kumaleon. But I don't know whether, you know, don't worry too much about what's there on screen. Do you want to just talk about how Kumaleon came together?
Yeah, sure. So this thread sort of outlines the absolute beginnings of Kumaleon. It before it was ever an NFT thing. It was a character that existed in our artist world, Okazz, and he's a pretty established creative coder / gen artist in the Japanese creative coding scene. And you know, he's been doing it before NFTs ever became a thing. So apart from his creative coding output, he's also, you know, into creating characters and pop art, which makes sense because, you know, he's a Japanese guy and Japan it's the global center of this type of cute character stuff. It's the home of Pokemon, right? So this idea was sort of conceived by him at the very start, and then me and the team, we got to know him. We worked with him on some other NFTs prior to Kumaleon, and then once we figured out that this is what he's sort of been cooking up for years, we decided to just make this a thing, and with you know, the general idea of like composability in NFTs, which is our central theme.
Yes. So let's step on to that. So bit of an overview of the mint here. That again, I was doing this as a kind of a review, and it's so much better to have you here to talk about it. 3,000 of them minted, and we'll come back to that in a the diagram there shows you. Yeah, do you want to explain how the basics of it? So we've got a token right now, but that token isn't in fact one token, it's two.
Yeah, so let's roll into the bottom half of the infographic over there, which shows like how it works technically. So all the bears that you have right now, they're it's just one bear, right? It's one token in an ERC 998 standard. And once our disassembly app comes out, which comes out in about 10 days, end of week next week, non-coders and people who are not technically in the know with this type of smart contract stuff, it's just a typical click and go system. It has a UI, you know, anyone can use it. And you can disassemble your ERC 998 into two NFTs. So the base bear will stay as it is in a 998 form, but it changes its you know, appearance from having the flashy gen art skin onto just a single color flat like bear, like an orange bear, blue bear, etc. And then the skin that was overlaid on top of the bear stands alone, like as like a separate NFT that can be displayed, that can be traded, and that will take form of a ERC 721 token, right? And if you have other gen art that from our whitelisted like Kumaleon collection, then you can overlay those onto any of the bears, right? So there's theoretically 9 million possible combinations of bears and skins that can arise from our Genesis collection, and this is something that, to the best of my knowledge, no one else has done so far in NFTs. So that's what we're bringing to the table.
Yeah, and it's we were talking a little bit before about my particular bear. Every time I go into OpenSea, it changes, but there's all different sorts, isn't there, with different styles of animation. Some are animated, some have music. What what other types are there in there?
Yeah, so like we talked about before, your bear, we took the word generative quite literally. So every time you refresh on OpenSea, for example, your bear changes colors. It has the same texture ish, but the generative art itself, it changes, and that's all on chain, and it's completely up to the algorithm. It's completely random, and that's really the absolute true neutral meaning of generative art, in our opinion, because it's all done by code, right? So apart from that, we also have some of the more rarer bears, just in terms of like how many of them are in the collection, so like numerically. And those bears, some of them are done by our guest artists. So Okazz is our main guy, and he's responsible for the bulk of the gen art. But we also have 14 other guys who have each contributed 30 pieces to the collection, apart from one person who contributed 90. And as for their take on Kuma, we kind of just let artists do their thing. We don't believe in setting such hard guidelines for what constitutes good or bad or acceptable or whatever. It's up to the artist, because each one has their own style and their own take on the bear. And some of them decide to incorporate music into it because that's their hobby. Some of them decide to make it less static and more interactive, which is their style. And we accommodated all their requests. So that explains the variety of stuff that we have. So in conclusion, it's still one cohesive collection, but within that collection, you can see how each individual artist has their own spin on the bear. And I think that's one of the central concepts of our project, which is you can be anything you want. And artist A decided to make his bear into what he thinks is the ideal final form. And we're going to continue to build on that.
And so yeah, just to go over the mint, there is 3,000 of them, and it was a free mint.
Yes.
And you, contrary to what is popular at the moment, you didn't oversubscribe the pre-sale.
We did not.
You kept it slightly below, didn't you? I think most people minted it, but there was a couple of hundred left, and then you did various giveaways in the. Basically, you didn't want to create a gas war. So the ones that were left, you did some giveaways, and effectively it sold out in about 20 seconds, didn't it? The remaining couple of hundred, something like that. So that was really good. How did you cultivate the community? Because that was a little bit different in the way you went about it as well, wasn't it? In terms of allow lists and who did you look to? Sorry,
okay.
carry
on. Sure. So the way that I approached it, I'd like to think that I've seen my fair share of how allow lists or distributions are done, and because we're free mint, like what I figured is free mint became sort of like a thing the meta, so to speak, for a while, and then they faded away. But it's still like a popular reference template, so to speak, for projects to pursue. And the value proposition is different for free mints than paid mints. So for paid mints, whether you're a rug pull, a cash grab, or a legit project, your most short term and your most important goal is to sell out. Because if you don't sell out, nothing starts. So it doesn't matter. Like, your intentions don't really matter. Selling out is the primary goal at that point. So in that sense, you don't necessarily have to be as picky, or like you could, but at the same time, if the person is paying their ETH to mint your project, then ultimately that match, like in theory at least, matters more to you than anything else. But for free mint, it's slightly different, at least in my opinion, is that we were fortunate enough to garner a fair bit of attention leading up to the mint. So at no point did we ever have trouble selling out. But we did have trouble is getting the right people in at the very start, right? So being that this is an art project, we had to look for the people that were really, really art-centric. And that really filters out a lot of the alpha groups, in my opinion, because I'm in my fair share. I'm on my private side. I'm a flipper. I'm not gonna lie. So I know how they work because I've flipped like dozens, and we didn't. It's not that we didn't want those guys, but we wanted to create as much room as possible to accommodate all of the art-centric guys that are in the space, and those guys were always going to be top priority. And so you mentioned Brian Brickman, for example. So I just sent him a cold DM. He responded immediately, and then we set up an allowless giveaway for his community, because that was one of the communities that were sort of garnered, like gathering around the idea of bringing art on chain. So the allowless process was really meticulous in that sense, because I had to sift through like thousands of DMs and requests from people saying, hey, can you give me some spots? And then I go to their Twitter, and their pin post is like, despite the bear market, we're still raking in cash and we're printing. And then it shows them the flips of the week, right, and how much ETH they collectively made as a group, right? So I wanted to avoid those guys and reach out to the art guys, because those are the guys that we wanted at the very start. And as for cultivating community, for us, we're trying to have the best of both worlds, the collectible world and the art world. And we were trying to introduce the world of Gen art to many first timers, especially if you've gone into NFTs. And sometime in the spring of this year or after that, you probably weren't aware of the tremendous Art Blocks bull run last year in August, or like the existence of them at all. And like, I don't want to distill art down into numbers, but if you look at the FP of Fidenzas or Squiggles, for example, they go head to head with any of the blue chips in the PFP space, for example. So that was something that we were trying to do, introduce art to the collectible guys. And then of course we wanted to get the art lovers in, and we do have a very, very solid community of people who are into this stuff. And then on a tertiary level, because we're also an Asian project with a fully Japanese team, we wanted to garner the domestic support, and then also reach out to our neighboring country, China, because aesthetically you can see that it's the typical cute Japanese anime style, and there's a lot of synergy with China. They love this stuff. We love that they love this stuff. So we want to make sure that we got our fair share of Chinese guys in as well. So I think it worked out great. We have a really eclectic mix of people, one of the most diverse groups I've ever seen in my short time here. And,
yeah, I think it's wild as well. I've never seen an NFT be interactive like this.
Yeah, for sure.
It was very, very different to me. That there's so many different kind of poses you could get, and also the fact that you've got the ability to combine other NFTs with this. Not to make an NFT, but what are you calling that? Because you're just releasing a new version, aren't you? Or you've released a new version where you can mash.
The mix and match.
Yeah.
The technical term for it is composability. It refers to having like the parent token having a child token like associated with it, and that's our main concept. You know, it like goes with our catchphrase. You can be anything you want, and
Yeah.
it also I mean, it uses the ERC 998 standard, which is not exactly new. It's been around since 2018, but even OGs from the 2017 like era of Ethereum that have like punks, for example, they have like never heard of it, for example. So
Yeah.
it's not widely known, and we wanted to bring light into the technical side of it as well and push the space forward, because maybe more projects down the road will utilize 998 because there's a lot of potential here.
Yeah. And I loved all the game theory you are introducing and you have introduced. So, the delayed reveal, which we'll do one in a minute. I'm quite keen. I haven't seen this reveal other than some videos, but also the fact that you've got the composability, the ability to disassemble, and the ability to combine, and also the future stuff coming on with new artists.
Yes.
Is there a plan with the new stuff just to bring on new art, but not like new character?
Yes, so we want to hold the bear supply constant for the foreseeable future, because every PFP collection, in my opinion, even if they don't explicitly state it in their roadmap, they always have the door open for like a secondary or a sister collection, right? And
Yeah.
The thesis behind that is, should the primary collection rise to like the point where it's out of reach for most people, but you also want to expand, your holder base and galvanize your army of guys and make your brand stronger, then it makes sense at that point to release a secondary collection so that more people can enter the ecosystem that could not have otherwise done so, right? So for us, I mean, if we ever get to that point, yes, we will. But for the foreseeable future, I think the bears will stay as they are. And what we plan to do is we plan to add more skins, because that gives our holders more, options to relay onto the bear. And also at the same time, it gives the artist, the incoming artist that is, marketing exposure to our group of holders. So that's the benefit for them, because it's a whole group of people that they otherwise would not have had access to. So in the future, we do plan to onboard as many guys as possible. I just got off a call today with one highly respected OG. He's agreed to do a couple new pieces for us, and like the more connections that we make in that regard, the stronger our ecosystem becomes, because we get more allies and we get more options for the Kumas, literally. So
Yeah, I just can't wait to see where you take it, actually. But you mentioned being Japan based. Do you know? I mean, obviously, no NFT is based in any country, really. But do you know the breakdown of your holders as to what location they are? I wouldn't ask that normally, but I was on a session with someone the other day, and I realised, it impacts taxation, doesn't it? So thinking about where people are connecting from, can impact that. Yeah,
I don't have the exact breakdown down to like the exact digits, but I would just like off the top of my head, I would say that about a third of our holders are explicitly Asian, whether they're Japanese or Chinese. And then the rest are, from English speaking countries all over the world. And the fact that we have such a strong Japanese domestic support, I think it's definitely a good thing for the future, because the Japanese scene, it's quite late, right? The entire Asian scene was late to the party. Like, I'm gonna be completely honest. So if you guys remember Fanta Bear, for example, from January, or Zipsies by Supernormal by Zipsies. Those are the Chinese and the Korean projects that sort of made the biggest splash and declared our entrance into the NFT market. And that happened only in the beginning of this year, while the Western world was doing all kinds of apes, doodles, cool cats, etc. last year, right? But Japan, even more so than China and Korea, was even later to the party. So the scene is it's quite nascent. So what that means for us is, while this piece of the pie is quite small, we can be one of the representative collections that comes out of Japan, and the networking effect that we can get from that is I think I can say this, Asian people are quite into like representing their country on like a global scale, and if we can garner domestic support in that regard, we can like get push from the government, we can get push from organizations, big companies, and that's sort of what we're aiming to do, so that we can be the Pikachu of the Web3 world in the year's time, and that's our like long-term goal.
There was a big announcement in Japan last week, wasn't there, where the government strongly backing Web3 companies and crypto companies?
Yep. So last year, there's a new prime minister in Japan. He's pretty like aware of the whole space, and I think as bureaucratic and as slow as the government may be, I think like you would have to be nearly blind to see how Pokemon would not translate to Web3, right? And that Japan is the country of Pokemon. They have several different types of Pokemon, right? And the possibilities there are endless, and I think even the government sees that, so they're definitely trying to make a big push for it, and I think we can reap the benefits of that in the next 6 months or so.
Yeah, I feel your pain there in terms of government being slow. In Web2, my role is connected with a number of government and local government organizations. So yeah, announcements are one thing, but actions tend to fall in a little bit later.
Sure. Yeah. But I mean, at least we're treading in the right direction, which is not something I could have said last year at this time. So
no, well, I think it's fantastic because I haven't seen anything like that coming from the UK. And I think to get on board so positively so early, I mean, I'm not sure there are many countries across the world that their government is supportive of even just not negative about Web3, but actually being positive and supportive. It can only be good for what you guys can deliver.
Yeah, I think so, for sure. And I think that really goes back to my point about Pokemon, is that not every country has that leverage, so to speak, to take advantage of, and it just makes way too much sense for Japan to do this. And we're trying to really position ourselves as in that position. Like, you can imagine this bear sort of taking a Pikachu role, right? And something that I kind of benchmark just in the back of my mind is, if you guys know the collection Azuki, they have the Azuki beans, right? Well, the Kuma can be the bean to pretty much any like anime sort of collection. You can see this guy being like a companion to like a host of different characters. And I think our concept of being you can be anything you want. It's very family friendly. The bear, unlike some other anime collections, for example, this is appropriate for all ages, and also it doesn't really discriminate, right? It's not like very specific to a niche taste within the anime world. It's about as mainstream and as casts like as wide of a net as they can come. So I think we've positioned ourselves well, and all we have to do is just keep executing.
Yeah, I agree with you with the bear. I mean, it's cute.
It is, yeah. It's a little cute little guy.
Yeah, and I'd love to see. I'm in Shonen Junk, and I'd just love to see more anime projects coming together and partnering up and working and doing interesting things together. I mean, it's interesting you mentioned the beans, but that was quite entertaining with Azuki in the sense that, you know, I don't think the Western world necessarily understood that that kind of character has resonance with people.
That's for sure.
And even though they were saying it's going to be a bean, it's going to be a bean. There was this big outcry when they revealed, and it was like, they're beans. It's like, yeah, we've been telling you they're beans.
Yeah, beans. Yeah,
but,
for sure.
But yeah, the website is awesome. It must have taken so much effort. There's so much to it. There is some documents on there. So the concept of metaflat, do you want to introduce that? Because I would hate to try and sum up that 60-odd page academic document that's there.
Yeah.
The concept of metaflat in a nutshell for an idiot.
Okay, yeah, I'll give it my best crack. Hasaki, the Japanese artist who was also part of our collection, he wrote that paper, and that paper can pass for like a master's thesis in art history, for example. So that shows our serious side to it. But like the Cole's Note version for what metaflat is we're obviously a Japanese project, and if you think about Japanese people in NFTs, I mean, probably one of the first names that comes up is Takashi Murakami, right? The guy behind the art for Artifact. And he, even way before NFTs, he pioneered an art movement called super flat. And that's something that has impacted Japan, beyond what you can possibly imagine. It's one of the it's the pride and joy of Japan at this point, right? And our artist Okazz was highly influenced by that as well. So we wanted to take our own spin on that and cross it with the concept of the metaverse, which of course it's quite vague and up in the air. But what we imagine metaflat to be is the idea that you can be anything you want, and that goes out into the online space, because if Kumaleon becomes your identity, as per like the PFP bull thesis, then you can truly, regardless of your gender, your age, your nationality, etc., you can be anything you want. And Kuma is constantly evolving as we onboard more and more artists, and it just sort of like amalgamates the Murakami Takashi in Japanese influence with how Web3 is going to impact the world of art and the concept of identity.
It's amazing. And it's one of the things I assess when I look at a project. And the moment I came to this website and looked at the real depth of detail and work that must have gone into this, half the time you'll see a free mint pop up and you're barely lucky if you've got a button that says press here to mint and a title, but to like really do the research and look at the team and look at the artist and the previous work and things like that was just awesome. And I just can't wait to see how it goes. You know what I mean? Where it can go. It was really, really quick out of the gate, wasn't it? I think it ran up to sort of 0.6 straight away out of the.
It did, yeah.
Out of the reveal, and it sort of come back to about 0.06 at the moment.
At the moment, yeah.
And so that's normal. It's the ebb and flow, isn't it? It's the reveal, and then oh my God, you mean they're not delivering something massive tomorrow? Problem,
right? Yeah, yeah. So
there's some gorgeous ones around, and obviously you've got the gameplay there as to whether you want to go and pick one up that's revealed or whether you want to pick up an egg. Which is really interesting. And obviously the eggs, you could get anything. I'm terribly unlucky on these reveals, but hopefully you're going to break my luck today. So maybe we try that out. So I think I just go to the hatch button, don't I?
No, that's right. Yep.
Yeah. So hatch button top right.
Mm-hmm.
And I can connect my wallet. No, why am I doing that?
Yep, right there.
Okay, so I'm going to reveal the one I minted because I can never sell the one I minted unrevealed. That would just be wrong. I've got to see it. I've got my forever one. I love that yellow and blue one. I just
awesome. Yeah.
It's gorgeous. So I'll just hit hatch now and let's see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping to see a new #1 rarity.
Let's do it, yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so
I like him.
Yeah, so we put some effort into the whole hatching system, and like apart from the game theory, there's also the visual aspect of seeing that come out. It's I don't know if you guys caught it, but it's highly Pokemon influenced, right? It's like it feels like when a Pokemon evolves, and that again is it's a like a heads up to our Japanese routes.
Yeah, it's I just love the fact that there's a reveal process in there and you guys worked hard on it, and it's just so nice, these bears. This one's a bit plain though. I'm a bit gutted with the background, but obviously
yeah. yeah, that's the background. Yeah, it's probably one of the more lower ranked ones, just off the top of my head. The background gives you but something that I want to stress. I mean, I know it doesn't apply to everyone, but like just buy what you want. If you want the higher ranked ones, I guess that helps you. But we're a lot of us on the team. We're art guys first and foremost, and then even within the NFT sector, we lean on the art side, and the whole ranking art and like arbitrarily deciding that one piece of art is above the other in some way, shape, or form was something that we internally discussed for many weeks. Ultimately, we did agree to carry out the rarity system because that's just how the game goes in the PFPC. But
yeah, it's a minefield, the rarity system, though, isn't it? Because it
is, yeah.
Statistical rarity doesn't match necessarily with art, and there will be, aesthetically. Well, I mean, it's the same for all projects in a way, but art stands out way more. That there will be things that are aesthetically amazing, but don't necessarily rank highly in the actual official rankings, but they just work. I like this face, and that tongue is a little bit naughty.
Yeah. yeah. He's got like a little bite to him.
Now I want to reveal the other one just in case.
Yeah. You could.
Sod it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Come on, baby.
Let's see.
Ooh.
Hey! This one's an interactive one. Yeah.
Wow.
The background it's one of my favorite Gen art pieces, and I mean, this one's definitely higher up on the rarity chart, probably like a legendary, something like that.
Is that an Okazz piece, or is that one of the other artists?
This would be an Okazz piece.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah, he has his own style. It's very pop art-ish. The colors are not as like I mean, like the colors are bright, but he doesn't use too many colors in his like style, and you can kind of pick it up once you take some time. But yeah, this one is nice. I mean, he's got like the bear itself with his face and facial expression. That's definitely one of the more rare ones for sure.
He's nice. I like him. I like them all. That's the problem. I could definitely see me picking up some more, especially whilst they're in that period, you know, where maybe the attention isn't fully there at the moment. Yeah, it's that kind of lull after reveal that everyone's got, isn't it? So let's just have a look, because what's coming up next, let's cover that off. So you can buy them right now. You can buy eggs still. Eggs are a slight premium, but if you keep your eye on the market, you can get them very near floor price if you want to go through that reveal. Or, to be honest, you know, just as I did with my yellow and blue beauty over there, it was just like sat out. I'd actually bought another one, which was rarer, and I didn't have any spare ETH.
Okay.
It was rarer, and then that one popped up, and I was like, oh, I've got no ETH. So I quickly listed the other one for not much profit.
Okay.
I think this one was actually listed higher, and I sent the guy a message because it was a .eth.
Oh, did you? Okay.
And I said, can you do it a little bit cheaper? And then in the interim, he didn't respond, and I bought this other one, and then he lowered it to what I had.
Okay.
So I was running around going, right, I've got to sell this other one now to get that one, and fortunately managed to get that done and pick this one up. So this one is my brand identity. The only reason I'm not wearing it at the moment is one of these Solana projects that pays you a token if you're wearing it. So I'm like, okay, I'll wear that if I'm earning token for wearing it for the moment. But I love my yellow and blue one. But yeah, so what's coming up next in order of proximity for holders?
Sure. So the disassembly is coming up next week, end of week, in about 8 to 10 days. We're about 99% sure it'll deliver on time. So finally, the centerpiece of our collection, our utility, so to speak. I mean, if you want to use that word, it's coming up. And then along with that, what you'll also start to see is you'll see the gen art pieces being sold by themselves, right? They'll stand on their own. They'll have a separate collection for them, and then you can now buy, like, if you want to mix and match your skins, you can just buy the pieces separately and not have to buy the entire bear. So that might be a little bit more financially reasonable. The Mint is Live airdrop events, that is also coming up, and I think the crown jewel of that is the limited edition Okazz piece. If you want to quickly maybe go to Foundation and go to Okazz's page, you'll see that he's been doing this for quite some time. He's been on Foundation since May 2021, when it was sort of like more difficult to get listed, for example. And you can see that his pieces are listed at fairly high prices, some of them. And
yeah, someone got a couple of bargains. I was looking at this before and thinking, oh, you guys got some cheap deals.
Yeah. So these pieces, like, they're on Foundation, which means that Okazz really puts his heart and soul into these, because they're generative, of course, that's his craft, but each piece takes hours of dedication, and even people in the team haven't seen the sneak peeks of it. So these airdrops are going out. These new ones will be able to be overlaid on top of Kuma's. So it's going to be the rarest art piece that we have in the collection if you want to take it there. So that's something that you guys can look forward to. And again, as we've done with like pretty much every raffle and giveaway and things like that, we're going to be as reasonable and as sensible as humanly possible to get this into the hands of the right guy that really wants to support him. And then if you want to quickly go back to the slide, sure, thanks. So apart from and the other raffles will be coming up. So if you once the this assembly app comes out, you have more choices to mix and match. More artist skins are coming, and one of the things that we're trying to do right now is we have a mountain of collab requests, like any other collection, right? They approach you to do whitelist distribution for their own upcoming mix, right? And what we're trying to do is we're trying to make it not a hard requirement, but a strongly recommended requirement for them to join our ecosystem, right? So from that point on, I think it's like a kill two birds with one stone type of deal, in the sense that we can expand our ecosystem, one, and of course get some spots for you guys, so you can get a lower entry into these. But also at the same time, what this does is it helps filter out the ultra junk, right? Because we're setting a requirement that's sort of like you can think of it as a pain in the butt, but it'll help them in the long run, right? So if they're like an absolute trash project and that just wants to fill in the whitelist quota so that they can mint out, then it's highly unlikely that they're going to cooperate with us. So the whitelist spots that you guys will be getting, they'll be highly vetted. So hopefully no rugs ever coming from Kumaleon. Hopefully very, very few cash grabs. And
I mean, you can never say never, can you?
Oh yeah, never say
that some of these com merchants are very, very good at what they do, and all the vetting in the world doesn't necessarily weed them out. All you can do is try your very best, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. So always do your own research. This is NFA. And then onboarding more guys, like I said, whether it be through new collections that they're releasing that they want to onboard onto our ecosystem, or just plain new art that you guys can mix and match with. And then on the less of the like tangible side and more of the background, we are working on a bunch of partnerships. One thing that we have coming up real soon is it's a domestic live event in Shibuya, Tokyo, with a bunch of other Japanese projects. Like I said, it's a nascent scene, and if we can spark some interest to just everyday normal Japanese people about some of this stuff, then that'll help our long-term bull case. And as for fashion, we are actually I'm kind of under like an NDA right now, so I can't reveal what, but we are in talks. It's almost confirmed, I think, that we will be doing something with one of the leading fashion brands in the world. It's like it really is like a top tier fashion brand. Everyone knows the name. Like, it's super expensive. I don't own anything from them, and I don't think I ever will. But that's in the background. And also there's one other thing that I'm personally excited about. And again, I'm under an NDA, and I really don't like egging people on, but because I'm all about like expectation management, and I don't want to like build you guys up just to let you guys down. But and again, like this is not confirmed. But if it does happen, then we'll be punching way above our weight class. And this partnership that we are currently in talks with is a project that wants to expand into Japan because it makes sense, because it's synergistic with what they have going. And like I said, Japan's a big untapped market. Like, it's the third largest economy in the world after the US and China. So there's a whole butt ton of liquidity in Japan that just has not been unlocked. And they're trying to come in, and I think we're like leading candidate to hook up with them and link up and do something. So really, really excited about that. Hopefully it comes through. And then finally merchandise. I don't know if you guys are. I don't know if some of the younger guys are aware, but I mean, I think people like you and our age, we all know what made in Japan means in the world of quality, like top tier,
Mhm.
world class quality in pretty much every industry, right? You buy a Toyota, it lasts for 25 years, right? So then we're gonna bring that same made in Japan quality to merch. So we're gonna do something a bit better than like the typical black hoodies, black band T-shirt looking things. So you can look forward to that as well.
You can get any merch in NFT so long as it's a black hoodie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. It doesn't have to be through us. You can just slap a pair on the T-shirt and custom print it, right? Like that. I don't see it. So we're trying to do it different.
Just a thought, mate. And I know you were. I would have heard this from you, and I would have read it. But just what's my IP rights to do with my bear?
Yeah. So it depends on which artist. So all the bears, if you're a holder, then you can do whatever you want with the bear, including like commercial stuff. But with the actual gen art itself, it depends on the which artist is responsible for it because they all have different like levels of like commercial usage grants, and
And
there is a no. Yeah,
I was
sorry.
gonna say, I think I've seen the links are in the Discord. Are they?
They are in the Discord. They're also on our docs page, which is available through our website.
Yeah,
It's the page that you were accessing. So one of the links is there. I'll post it again at some point.
yeah.
And yeah, you have Okazz pieces, and he allows full commercial usage for both his art and his bear, I believe. So you're free to do what you want.
Yeah, I definitely want to do something with it. Um,
Mhm.
I'm gonna go to NFT London, so I'm thinking about just getting a hoodie with my yellow and blue bear on. I
Oh
think.
yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it just so the docs page is just going through that link, isn't it? And
Yes.
you've got lots and lots of
And
detail in there. And if you want
yeah.
to
Mm-hmm.
read that really detailed paper on the meta for that, you can download the PDF there. I agree, it is almost like a master's thesis, isn't it?
It is. It's like 60 pages. Huh.
Yeah, it's insane. I did actually read it though.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
I don't think many people in NFTs would, but I really wanted to understand the concept. Um,
hmm
Obviously, if I'm doing a video, I don't want to explain it all, but I want to be able to get the basics to be able to explain it. By the way, I love these one pages. Just these rich pictures to help people understand because it is even just the disassembly, as you've shown here, it is quite a complex thing. So just to help people understand what's going to separate in what ways is absolutely fantastic. And I'm so excited by the made in Japan. I mean, in real life, I work in continuous improvement, in Web2. So
Ah,
lean and Toyota
Kaizen.
yeah, absolutely. It's the very
Right.
heart of everything I teach people about improving their processes and getting to that excellence. So yeah, I'm
For
so
sure.
excited.
Yeah. I mean, it's it's a whole Kaizen. Like I worked in corporate America for a bit, and I went through the whole corporate training about Kaizen. So Japan made that thing. That process and that mindset and that strive for perfection is what made Honda and Toyota the giants that they are today. And we're trying
Yeah,
to
I
keep
think I
keep
think a
that.
lot of people just miss the fact that it wasn't what Toyota did, because what Toyota did in terms of changing was because of what they found. But it's a way
hmm
of thinking, isn't it? And
It,
it's
it
a
is
bit
it is
like
a mindset. Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
So yeah, we've been almost an hour, mate, and I'm really grateful for your time. I just wondered whether there was anything we haven't touched on through this conversation that you want to bring up, or anything you want to point out coming up that people should be aware of?
Yeah, so
and at that point we lose him. Let's give it a couple of seconds. I'm so devastated. Hopefully Avenue can get back in. If not, we're gonna be on those tenterhooks for who knows how long. I literally think, let's give it 2 more minutes. If not, that's the kind of end of the soap opera moment. Yes, there's something really exciting. Bang, we've lost you. Okay, well, it's looking like that is that. Hopefully that's been useful for you. Go and have a look at Twitter, join the Discord, have a look at the website and the documentation if you want to find out more about Kumaleon. I think is the right way to pronounce it. Here we go. We've got Avenue back, sort of. Maybe. Not in a way I can bring back up. Oh, yeah, I got you, mate. I got you.
okay, awesome. Yeah.
I got you. I was just filling there. I said it's a little bit like a soap opera where you go, yes, I've got something to tell you, and then it cuts off at the end. But no, mate, you were just gonna launch into something to tell us about stuff that's coming up.
Yeah. So thanks for bearing with me.
No problem.
Yeah,
That's tech,
so,
mate.
yeah. Things happen. You gotta get up on your feet. So in closing, I guess I want to just tell you guys a bit more about like what the future holds for the Japanese scene, because I think that's something that you guys in the English speaking world doesn't get enough of an insight about. So I think we briefly touched on how the government is like supportive of Web3 and NFTs in particular, as well as the fact that the Japanese scene is quite lagging behind and nascent, and how it has a ton of potential in the future, like following the Pokemon synergy blueprint. And I think more and more people in domestic Japan are going to be awakened for NFTs, because I'm personally following the domestic trends in Japan, not only in terms of the bootstrapped Web3 native projects and the moves in the government, but also moves in the corporation. Right, Web2 in Japan is they're slow and they're bureaucratic, but they're also very, very aware of tech. And I think a number of users are going to be onboarded in the next upcoming years, and to various like different degrees of decentralization. It's going to be an influx of people that are very, very different than the Web3 degens that you guys are probably used to. So one example I can probably bring up is Steppen, right? Steppen is massive in Japan right now. I mean, they had their heyday. It's not what it was back in April, but it's not dead. Like, the app's still alive. There's still people running, and there is a massive, massive Steppen scene in Japan. And I think one of the reasons that it became such a thing in Japan is because of the ease of onboarding. And I think that's definitely the next step that we have to go to, because you have to reassure the quote unquote normies that you're not going to get rugged. This isn't a scam. And you have to give them like the UI and the smooth process to do stuff. But, no different than how like Amazon shopping does it. So having said all of that, I think big corporations are going to move in very, very quickly. I'm keeping a tab on a lot of them, and we're really going to try to push Kuma to as many of these entities as possible, so that we can get as big of a domestic support in Japan as possible, and make this into the Pikachu of Web3, because that's really what we're benchmarking. There's precedence for this in Japan domestically. We've obviously made it so that it makes sense, and I think the crossover between all the cultural heritage and the potential that Japan has with how NFTs are going to shape our future is absolutely insane. So, I mean, if you have some time, you can keep an eye out on what happens in Japan, because I mean it's definitely one of the countries to look out for sure.
Yeah, well, as you say, they've always been there in terms of quality,
Absolutely.
and organization and systems and process to deliver continuous improvement. I had heard about Steppin being big over there, and obviously Steppin model was a little bit flawed, but
yeah, let's say that.
yeah, the ultimate Ponzi, but but yeah, the way that did affect people, and I understand it was a little bit like Pokemon. There was huge gatherings of people meeting up.
Yeah, and I mean, Pokemon Go again. That's made in Japan. It's not too different in a sense, and a lot of the things that made Pokemon Go such a success in Japan can be applied to Steppen. And I think Japan is just waiting for the right thing to come so that a lot of users can get onboarded. And I think that moment is coming sooner rather than later with all the movement I'm seeing.
When Kuma go?
I don't know. Let me hit up the Antic.
Oh, that's been awesome, mate. And I've really enjoyed the conversation, and I can't wait to see what comes next. Just really enjoying the ride with you guys, and yeah, can't wait to start disassembling and things like that. So that's about 8 to 10 days away. Obviously, it's tech. It could be slightly more, but my estimation on the way the Japanese do processes and technology, I suspect it'll be 8 to 10 days away.
Yep. It's looking good, on track. I mean, again, I'm big on expectation management. Don't want to mislead you, but I'm 99% sure it'll be done by end of the week next week. So really look forward to it. And it's an honor and privilege to be on this show. It's an honor and privilege to have call you my friend in Web3 and have you be a holder in our community. And yeah, again, thanks for everything you've done, and keep in touch. It was a pleasure.
No problem. I will see you on Spaces sometime, mate.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's get that set up sometime soon. I'll talk to you in DMs, man.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, you can leak me some alpha. I
will
won't
do
tell anyone. I won't tell the NDA. No, don't worry.
I got you, man. Got you.
All right, mate. Brilliant. Thank you so much for squeezing me in. Sorry about it being a bit last minute, meeting to meeting and all that lot. But I will see you soon. Good luck with everything. And thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, man. Take care. Have a good day. Mate. See you around.